And what we're doing here today, we're back, and you're watching South Texas Now. This is attorney and nurse practitioner Joe Flores. I like to bring areas where the law and medicine overlap. Today we're talking about a trucking case, and we're looking at a case study. Often people see the whodunits, the crime, the wonderful shows like Law and Order created by Dick Wolf and Special Victims Unit and all that. But you don't see, and it kind of sounds dry, a car accident, fender bender, if you will. Many times, people have been conditioned to minimize what can happen during a car accident, and they're told, oh, it was just a fender bender, or because there's not a lot of damage to the car, that somebody didn't get hurt. Well, when a 3,500-pound vehicle hits another vehicle, maybe the fenders or the bumpers are very heavy duty, and maybe the trucks weigh more than that, a couple of tons. There may not be a lot of property damage. It's like a carton of eggs. You look at it, looks totally intact and everything, but you open it up and all the eggs are broken. Those could be the passengers. It's kind of liken that to the passengers within a car. They could have broken bones. They could have brain damage. They could suffer neurological injury. So often, very highly specialized people will, like I said, use drones now where you can take pictures over where it happened. Investigators, those that do the type of investigations that people look at, accident reconstructionists that go back in time and can scientifically and beyond the preponderance of evidence, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but they can say what happened to the plaintiff's vehicle, and we can re-show that there a little bit. This is an actual accident that we're looking at where pictures were taken and the car was just beyond recognition. And then we looked at the defendant's vehicle, and you see it's a truck and it looks like it doesn't even have a scratch. And so some people will say, well, the other car or the other vehicle or truck did not even have a scratch, so it can't be that bad. And I say to those people that, yes, it can. Not only have I taken care of people on a Saturday night in the ICU when I was a younger man, but I also represent those people that are injured, whether through malpractice, whether through negligence in a nursing home, or if they had a trucking accident or if they had a car accident. Often people will hit their head or have their brain jarred. It's called coup contre coup, kind of a French term where your head is like a bowling ball. It's thick, it's hard, the skull, but you have jelly in there, that's the brain. It has nowhere to go other than shake about. And often you have a slow bleed in the brain. We've had recently a celebrity fell, hit his head, and went to bed, but he had a slow bleed and passed away. Not to get too graphic with people, but those injuries do happen. So when you do have a car accident or you do have a trucking accident, it's important to start documenting things, especially if you are cognizant of what's going on. You take pictures. If you have a passenger that is able to do that, sometimes you don't have time to do that and you are seriously injured. We've had people halo flighted, taken to a burn unit because of that. And these are real people. And I've seen them firsthand as an RN when I worked as an RN before I became a nurse practitioner. And that's what I did, was a lot of trauma. And people would end up in the ICU. Some of them never to walk again. Some of them never to be able to have the same short-term memory, or their emotions changed. Often with brain injuries, you don't see it on the outside, but people that live with them say they're not the same person anymore. And that's where specialists come in. We have to show an accident reconstructionist does what he does best first, or she does best, what happened at the scene. And we tell the accident. And then if we're lucky, we have independent eyewitnesses that have no skin in the game, that actually don't have the economic interest in, say, I'm going to get some of the money of a settlement. You know, I think that most people, when they're injured, money's the last thing on their mind. And you're going to say, well, Joe, you're full of malarkey. But seriously, I've seen people that come in neck boards that are immobile, they're terrified, they can't feel their toes, their hands are numb, they've lost consciousness, or perhaps they're in a coma and their family is hysterical. Lawyers and money are the last things on their mind. They would give anything to have the person that they love back the way they were. Unfortunately, in the courtroom system, we can't do that. The most we can do is ask for money. And many people say, well, what good is money worth, Joe? And I'll say, with these types of accidents, it can be a life changer. It can have a caretaker take care of that person while the spouse goes to work. It's exhausting. And my hat goes off to not only those paid professionals that take care of people, but the unpaid. Those caretakers that take care of mom and take care of dad and take care of their child. Those people that have suffered from terrible accidents like the one that you're seeing, the images on your screen. Photos taken by an eyewitness can make the difference. And there are witnesses that will make the difference. And when you're talking, say I'm the one that's bringing the lawsuit, I will tell a jury that it's only argument, but I have to prove up my case. I'm the one with the burden. But I'll say, you're going to hear the defendants attack both of our independent witnesses that say that an accident happened and it was the trucker's fault. Again, we talk about responsibility. That's a huge theme. When you're dealing with multi-million-dollar corporations and you're dealing with companies, you often want to have the jury understand that those people have to be held accountable. Whether it's the government, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a pharmaceutical company that addicted people to pills, those people need to be held accountable. Now, I'm going to say this. Approval rating of bankers, politicians, and lawyers, 15%. Doctors, nurses, policemen, firefighters, 70% plus. And that's like a Rand Morgan sort of, poll. And it's well-deserved sometimes. Very well-deserved. I mean, often people say, well, the lawyers are just after money and to get their chunk of it. And I strongly believe that we can't put somebody back the way they were, but we can try to compensate them with money. So back to that question, what good is money worth? Money can help with a nurse's aide at home, an RN to come visit the patient, doctor's visits, pain medication, medication to help a person rest. And when you're trying to prove up a case like this, you also have to have safety experts, people that say they should have known better. They should have done this. And we can't go back in time. So we put on those people, and we also put on professional drivers. Often lawyers that are a lot richer than I am, but that I help out on these types of cases and that I analyze them and look at where medical and the law meet in the middle of the road. We'll bring on professional drivers and even reenact an accident. Seriously. Manufacturers sometimes put out defective tires. We've seen large trucking and automobile companies put out products that may flip and cause passenger vans. Some of the best attorneys in the United States come from this neck of the woods, and I've had the pleasure of playing cards with them on a Friday night and also helping them out on cases. And so when I'm looking at that, and we're looking at this PowerPoint on your screen, experts explain, what you should do and you shouldn't do, like safety experts. Many of us don't know at yield signs, what do we do? How slow do we have to be? How much do we slow down? At a yield sign, is it just kind of like a rolling stop, or do we keep going? I mean, these are questions that have to be answered by experts. But all experts will agree, like in the case that we're looking at right now, that a yield sign is red. And red means, hey, something needs to stop or slow down very much. And that means caution. That means warning. And so we not only look at that, but we also look at the law on that. We bring out what the safety code is. But also in cases involving death, in tragedies that occur every day across this land, we have to bring in the policeman. And we have to bring in, say, the trooper that was there. And we have to read their reports. Those reports are most important. What people say at the scene at the time. Often people will say, in a moderate to mild accident, they're hurt, they're sore, I don't want an ambulance, because maybe they don't have insurance. They don't go to a doctor for 5-6 days, maybe because the lack of insurance, maybe because of COVID, maybe because of barriers to care. And often, and I'll tell you, I've worked both sides as a defense attorney and as a plaintiff attorney. The lawyer is the person that is best fit to send somebody to a doctor, and through a letter of protection, that means, doc, I promise to pay the bills for this injured person that doesn't have insurance. And we can't use the I word in court, and I repeat that. It's against the law to tell a jury there's insurance, because maybe a jury might be tainted by that. The insurance companies have really pushed lobbyists and lawmakers to make it pretty much illegal, mistrial, to mention insurance. So a lot of people will say, well, why didn't they just use their insurance? And they'll even ask that during jury selection. Can't talk about it, We sometimes have to approach the judge and say, what do we say, judge? And the judge instructs them, well, we can't discuss that. That is not relevant here. Of course, people on a jury are going, well, sounds very relevant to me. But if you look at some of the things that we do, we look at the bones, the skeleton, and how seriously injured somebody was. And we review those. We hear about the credible evidence. We look at not only how things physically affect someone, but look at the brain. Experts agreeing on what is traumatic brain injury. Experts that agree on what changes behavior. What sort of psychiatric developments, which are a stigma, let's face it, and the lifetime and long-term effects of pain management, surgeries, and sometimes we have to show x-rays of the hands, the feet, the neck, and you're looking at all these images. The bottom line is that we're also looking at pain medication and what things are going to cost. Medical bills, millions of dollars down the road, and future damages. We got half a minute left, but I'll tell you, it's hard to ask people on a jury for money. But I don't have any shame in doing it, because those people I saw in the emergency room, in the ICU when I was younger, I saw death. I saw the devastation of what can happen. So we've got less than 30 seconds left, but I want to thank everybody for just tuning in. And each week we're going to have a different case study, and we'll look at those, whether it be civil, criminal, administrative, federal. We'll take a look. Thank you all, and God bless.